Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I will show you how you can make this beautiful cardigan that you will actually love to wear. So it's really beautiful, it's really soft, it's super light, and I cannot wait to show you how you can make this one. For this cardigan, I will be using Soft Alpaca lace paired with Mohair with kid silk from Hobby. And we will begin with the back panel. The back panel is worked top down, and from the neckline we will start with the neckline width, and we will have some increases to make for that modified drop shoulder construction that will fit very well. I forgot to tell you I will be using 3.5mm crochet hook, but prepare also a 4mm crochet hook because we will use that one as well. So let's just start with the chains for the neckline. I will be chaining 40, but you can chain as many stitches as you would like depending on the desired neckline width. Now we will begin with the first row. I will start my row with a stuck single crochet stitch. So there are 2 single crochet worked one on top of the other, and then into the second stitch I will make an increase. So I will work 2 half double crochet into that next stitch. Then we will continue with 1 half double crochet in each stitch until we have 2 stitches left. Now you can start with any stitch that you would like. If you want to start with chain 2 and counting as a first half double crochet, or maybe you just want to start with chain 2 and 1 half double crochet into the same stitch. So feel free to go as you wish. Now into the second to last stitch we will make an increase, so work 2 half double crochet and finish the row with 1 half double crochet into the last stitch. So we increased with 2 stitches on this row, and now on the next row we will increase with 4 stitches. So into the next 2 stitches we will work 2 half double crochet, so the next 2 after the first one. We will make, if you would like to say it so, a double increase, and then we will continue with 1 half double crochet until we have 3 stitches left this time. Yeah, so 3. And when we have 3 stitches left, we will do 1 increase into the next 2, so 2 half double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and we will finish the row with 1 half double crochet into that last stitch. And this will be the 2 rows that we will alternate and we will repeat for the shoulder section, the top part of the back panel. And you can adjust the number of rows. I will work in total 18 rows and you can work more or less until you will reach the desired bust width or back panel width. Now after 18 rows, it will be really handy to place a stitch marker into that last side row on each side, because in this way you'll know where the shoulder edge is ending, and this will be really helpful for the front panel construction. So now what we will do, starting from this row, from the next row after finishing this section, we will continue to work straight until we reach the desired length of the back panel. So again, you can adjust the number of rows as desired until you reach the desired length. So now as one more time. So you start with the number of stitches required for your desired neckline width, continue increasing one row with 2 stitches, one row with 4, until we reach the desired bust width or back panel width, and then you continue to work straight until you reach the desired length of the back panel. Okay, here is the back panel, and now we will finish this back panel not with the ribbing yet, because we will work the ribbing for the entire circumference of the bottom hem, but all this the design has some detail edging, and this is how we will finish the back panel. This is totally optional, so you don't have to work these 2 rows, but anyways, so the first row will be in single crochet stitches, so we will work 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and the second row, so we will chain 1 and turn, and the second row will be in front post single crochet stitches. So you'll need to go with the crochet hook all around that single crochet stitch, inserting the hook from front to behind and then behind to front into that next space that is after the stitch, so before and after the stitch. And we will continue with this to the end of the row, and then we will repeat these 2 rows one more time. So after finishing this front post stitches, we will go again with a single crochet row, and then with a front post single crochet row. Okay, so this is totally optional. It just adds those edging that I added to basically almost the edging on this cardigan. So now let's just continue and work the other 2 rows, and we will begin to work with the front panels. Okay, so this is the back panel. I know that that edge is not really visible, but yeah, I find it really cute, because we will use this 4 rows for the shoulder edge right now, and I said that if I'm using it for the shoulder edging, then it will be a good idea to use it for all the other edges that this cardigan has. So now we will begin with the right front panel. So it's time to choose which side you would like to have for the right side, although you already have this one because of the edge at the bottom. And now we will work across those increasing rows that I told you that is the shoulder. So I have in total 18 rows, and at every 2 rows I increase with 3 stitches. Yes, because 1 row I increase with 1 stitch, 1 row I increase with 2 stitches. I'm counting only this end right now. So this means that we will need to work across this edge the same number of stitches that we increased with. So if I have 18 stitches and I increase with 3 stitches at every 2 rows, this means that I will need to have 27 stitches. And I will work 3 stitches at every 2 side rows when working. And that being said, I will work 1 stitch into that gap that I have in between the rows. I know that this fluffy yarn is not really helpful because it's not really visible where the stitches are landing or where I'm putting the crochet hook, trying to get a little bit closer. So now I have one side row and I'm making one single crochet. Then I'm going in between the rows and then into the next side row. And don't forget to skip the next in between rows, because otherwise you will work 4 stitches into every 2 rows and we need only 3. Now you're counting the stitches, and according with the number of rows that you worked, you need to divide that number of rows by 2 and multiply it by 3, and that will be the number of stitches that you need to have at the end of this row. Okay, so now we will continue like this with single crochet across. That's why I said that it will be really helpful to mark that last increase row, because it will be easier to know where you need to start this shoulder edging. Now I switched to a bigger hook size. I told you that I will use also a 4mm crochet hook, because I didn't want this edge to shrink too much, because the single crochet stitches worked across, or front post single crochet stitches worked across the side rows will get a little bit making that fabric to shrink. Is nothing that you cannot fix after blocking, but I said to also use this bigger crochet hook size. And now we will work those front post single crochet stitches the same as we worked on the bottom hem edging. And then we will repeat these 2 rows, 1 row in single crochet and 1 row in front post single crochet one more time. So we will have in total for this edging 4 rows. After we finish with the shoulder edging, we will switch to a 3.5mm crochet hook, and we will begin to work at the actual front panel. So we will start the row as usual with that first stitch that you chose, and the first 4 rows we will work without doing any increase at the neckline, because we will have to do some increases to shape that V neckline. So the first 4 rows will be straight, so 1 half double crochet into each stitch, and then we will begin to increase. So now we will increase only at this end that is next to the neckline, and we will increase at every other row. Yeah, and this will create a V neckline shape for this front panel. If you want the neckline to be shorter, you can increase at every row. The idea is that you will need to get with the number of stitches for the front panel to have half of the back panel, or if not half, maybe a little bit less than half, because we will have that button band that will accommodate the front panels. So this is the idea, and then you will, according with how deep you want this V neckline to be, you will have to adjust the number of stitches or how you are making the increases. For reference, I just calculated the V neckline shape depth to be half of the number of rows of the back panel. So we will work 38 rows like this, or 34, because we have the first 4 rows without any increase. So now when we have 2 stitches left at the end next to the neckline, we will increase into the next stitch and finish the row with 1 half double crochet. Then on the next row, on the turning row, we won't do any increase, because as I said, we will increase at every other row. And we will keep repeating these 2 rows, one with increasing, one without increasing, until we finish with the V neckline, or until our front panel has approximately half of the back panel stitches. After finishing with the V neckline, we will continue to work straight without any increases until we finish the front panel length. So depending on the number of rows that you have for the back panel, you will need to have the same number of rows for the front panel. And after finishing with the length, we will work the same 4 rows for that edging that is not visible. Only now I can see that you cannot see it pretty well what it's all about. So it will be the same 4 rows, alternating 1 row in single crochet stitches and the second row in front post single crochet stitches. And after finishing with these 4 rows, we will fasten off and then we will begin to work on the left front panel. Okay, so we finished with that edge, and now we're about to begin working on the left front panel. And for the left front panel, we will repeat the same pattern as for the right front panel, only that this will be in the mirror. So now our row for edging, our first row for that shoulder edge, will begin into the side row that is next to the neckline. In the right front panel, it was on the opposite side, but the pattern will be the same, at least for this edging at the shoulder. We will work the same 4 rows, 1 in single crochet, working 3 stitches at every 2 side rows, and 1 row with front post single crochet stitches. Again, I'm switching to a 4mm crochet hook to avoid with this edging to shrink too much the that shoulder edge. If you're skipping the shoulder edge, not necessarily that it will fix this problem, because those side rows are a little bit taller or wider, especially with those increases. So that's why, and we couldn't work more stitches because we need to end up with the same number of stitches that we increase with on the back panel. So anyways, so we are working that edging with 4 rows, 1 in single crochet and 1 in front post single crochet, and then we will begin to work on the actual front panel. Okay, we finished with the shoulder edge. We're switching to a 3.5mm crochet hook, and we start to work those 4 rows that are without any increase or decrease. So 4 rows in with 1/2 double crochet into each stitch across. And then we will need to make those increases at every other row, but this time we will make them at the beginning of the row, because this is the side that is next with the neckline. So now let's just work this first 4 rows, and after this 4 rows we will begin to increase at every other row to create that V neckline shape, and we will increase at the beginning of the row compared with the right front panel that we increased at the end of the row. So other than that, we're keeping the same stitch pattern. You can see that for a few rows on the right front panel, I just increased at every row because I wanted to have more stitches, but at that point I forgot about the fact that we will have the button band. So those stitches will be, or that piece of fabric that is missing from the front panels will be accommodated with the button band. So you don't need to do that, just keep going with one increase at every other row. And now that we finish with the front panels, we are about to go and work the sleeves. First, we will mark the sleeve side rows. You can see that on the back panel we have less rows or fewer rows than on the front panel, and this is because we have that shoulder increases. And we will need to mark the number of side rows on the back panel and on the front panel. And you will need to place a stitch marker, and then we will start to work the sleeve right into this armhole that we just marked. And we will keep the same proportion with 3 stitches in every 2 side rows. And we will begin with that edge with 1 row in single crochet, second row in front post single crochet twice, so 4 rows in total. And I will be using again the 4mm crochet hook to avoid when working into the side rows, and with that front post single crochet stitches to avoid to have that edging a little bit smaller or tighter, let's just say. Maybe it's just because maybe I'm working those front post stitches a little bit tighter than my regular half double crochet stitches, but I noticed that that edge was tighter with the 3.5mm crochet hook, and I said to switch to a bigger hook to avoid that. Okay, now we will work the first 4 rows into that edge pattern, and then we will discuss about the pattern for the sleeves, because the sleeves are toppered, so we need to see what pattern we will do for decreases. Okay, now that we've finished with this edging, we will switch to 3.5mm crochet hook, and we will start to work on a sleeve length. And to topper the sleeves, we will decrease at every 6 rows, and we will decrease 1 stitch at the beginning and 1 stitch at the end of the row by working 2 half double crochet stitches together. So you saw how I did it, but I will do it one more time at the end of the row, and I will show you over there once again the decrease. Okay, so I will work until I will have 3 stitches left, and now I'm working the 2 half double crochet together. And then I will finish the row with 1 half double crochet into the last stitch. And now the next 5 rows will be without any decreases, and then with row 7 we will work again, decrease 1 stitch at the beginning, 1 stitch at the end of the row, followed by 5 rows without making any decrease. So I don't know if it's at every 6 rows or from 5 to 5 rows. I don't know exactly how to say it. The point is that the decrease pattern will have 6 rows, 1 row decreasing and 5 rows without decreasing. And we will repeat this 5 or 6 row set until we finish the length, the desired length of the sleeve. Now you can see on the screen that I calculated a number of rows. I will work 60 rows, meaning that I will repeat the set 10 times. But if you want to add more rows, feel free to do it. And also, if your sleeve length is not a multiple of 6, you can finish the length with rows without any decreasing. And after we will finish the sleeve length, I will show you on the other one that I already worked it. We will work that edge, of course, with 4 rows single crochet, front post single crochet, and we will work then this elastic band, but I will show it to you right away. First, what we will do is to work that edging, that 4 rows edging, one in single crochet, one in front post single crochet, and another one repeating one more time. And on the first row, if you want the sleeve cuff to be narrower, smaller, you can do on this first single crochet row a few decreases. So I will work 3 single crochet and then 1 decrease. So 1, 2, 3, and then 2 single crochet together. And I will repeat this section as many times as I can in the sleeve width. If you don't have a multiple of 5, don't worry, just repeat to the end of the row. And then we will turn and we will work that front post single crochet stitches all around. If you feel that after the first single crochet row that you want to decrease even more the cuff circumference, then on the next single crochet row you can increase more if you want. So now we will work this front post single crochet. I won't do any more decreases, but again, it's an option if you want to have the sleeve cuff even narrower than it is right now. Now, after working those 4 rows, we will begin with our cuff ribbing. And I will chain 11, but if you want, you can chain more if you want your elastic to be wider. And then yarn over and into the second stitch, we will do this double slip stitch or half double crochet slip stitch. So yarn over, insert the hook, and then pull that loop through all the loops that you have on the hook. And we will repeat this to the end of the row. So in every stitch. And at the end of the row, we will need to connect this this ribbing row with the sleeve edge. And to do that, we will slip stitch, so 1 slip stitch into the next 2 stitches of the sleeve edge. And then we will turn. You have to skip those 2 slip stitches and we will work only into the back loop. So again, the half double crochet slip stitch, but only into the back loop. If you prefer to use any elastic pattern, then you feel free to do so. I just found that this one is looking really pretty on this cardigan. And now we will go with this to the end of the row. And into the last stitch, I will go, there are 2 loops over there, and I will go through those 2 loops and work the half double crochet slip stitch. Basically, it's the last small V that is over there at the end of the row. Now we will chain 1 and turn, and in the back loop only, we will work the half double crochet slip stitch or double slip stitch to the end of the row. And at the end of the row, again, we need to connect the row with the sleeve edge, and we will work 1 slip stitch into the next 2 stitches of the sleeve edge. And we will need to repeat this to last 2 rows until we complete the sleeve circumference. Always is handy to place a stitch marker into that last stitch of the ribbing, or to simply count the stitches to make sure that you keep 10 stitches all the time. So now we will turn and repeat these rows until we will finish the sleeve width. Okay, now that we finish, we can cut the yarn. And of course, you will need to repeat the same pattern on the other sleeve. I already worked that one. So now we are done with the sleeves. Now the next thing that I will be working on, you can either work the bottom hem ribbing, but I prefer to work it when I have this cardigan assembled. So the next step will be to seam the sides, and I will start at the bottom hem, going across the body of the cardigan to the armpit and then across the sleeve. And I will thread the yarn through a yarn needle, and I'm measuring the length of the yarn to be 3 times the length that I need to sew. And then I'm using the ladder stitch, but you can use the mattress stitch, whatever stitch that you are used to when you want to join crocheted pieces. Also, you can use slip stitches if it's easier for you, but for me, I'm using all the time the ladder stitch, and I find that the seaming is sturdy and not that visible. So I will show you right now how I am doing, although you can see it in all my tutorials that need seaming. I'm using the same stitch. The important thing with this one is that it needs to be done on the right side of the cardigan, so make sure that you're having placed your cardigan facing the right side. And of course, you can also use some stitch markers or safety pins to keep those pieces in place and make sure that they are not slipping around. And now I will go with the needle through the first side row, because we are going into the side row on my right side from back to front, and then to the left side from front to back. And then I'm making a knot over here to make sure that the yarn will stay in place and I won't lose it. And we will go with the needle from side row to side row. So first in one side, so going with the needle into the first and getting out into the second, this in the right side, and then going into the left side, the same position. Then into the right side, I will go with the needle into the stitch or row that we pull it out the first step, and I will pull it out into the next side row, and the same into the left side. And we are keep weaving it like this until we finish the entire piece. You can let this sewing looser, meaning the thread looser, and then just pull it and it will close the two pieces together. I do prefer to pull the yarn all the time, because this I have to use smaller tension to do that, and sometimes depending on the yarn, this can break if it's not that thick. So I will continue like this until I will finish the entire to join the pieces together, and of course that we will need to repeat on the other side as well. Now that we finished to assemble the cardigan, we can move forward to the bottom hem ribbing. This was I want to work this one before the button band. We will use the same pattern as for the cuffs, and we already have that edging, the 4 rows edging. And now we only need to start working on that elastic ribbing. We will rejoin the yarn into the bottom corner of the left panel, because we will work from right to left. And I will chain the same number of stitches as for the cuff, but again, if you want to make this elastic wider, you can go for more stitches. And I will chain 11, and into the same double slip stitch or half double crochet slip stitch, I will go all around with this elastic ribbing until we will finish the bottom hem, the entire circumference. Again, if you prefer to use a different method, a different pattern for this elastic, you can use anything for this final edging of the cardigan. Now, after finishing with the bottom hem ribbing, it's time to work the button band or collar band, this. And in this corner over here, I will work 3 stitches, and we will start with that 4 rows edging. We will add that one here as well. So again, into the side rows, when working into the side rows, we will keep the same proportion of 3 stitches at every 2 rows. But if you feel that your tension requires more, I don't know, maybe to work 4 stitches at every 2 rows, or a different proportion, please feel free to do that. The important thing is that we want a neat ribbing, and that comes with those single crochet stitches that are closer to each other and are even distributed on the entire edging. So feel free to adjust this tension. We will start rejoin the yarn on the right side of the cardigan and into the bottom corner, and we will go all around, so across the front panel. In that corner of the V neckline, we will work 2 or 3 stitches to turn that corner beautifully and not to shrink it, and then we will go around the collar again, the other front panel edging, and we will finish the row at the bottom of that last front panel edging. And we will work those 4 rows, 1 row in single crochet, 1 row in front post single crochet, and we will repeat one more time, 1 row in single crochet and another row in front post single crochet. Because we already worked this edging many times now. Again, if it's you want to skip this part, this edging, this detailed edging, let's just call it like that, you can skip this part, but I do recommend before the elastic ribbing, especially if you are working this parallel vertical patterns, either in slip stitches or double slip stitches or single crochet into back loop only, to have one first row in single crochet to make it easier to go and work this elastic ribbing. Now after finishing that decorative edging, we will start to work on the ribbing pattern, but first it will be really helpful if we will mark the buttonholes. So I'm having here 5 stitch markers because I want to use 5 buttons, and I will first mark the bottom button. Where do I want to be? It's randomly, I'm not counting any stitches, and then I will mark the top button. So where do I want the top button to be? Yeah, and then after having my bottom button and the top button, I will count the stitches in between. So here again, I will place a stitch marker, and now I will count the stitches, and I will divide the stitches by the number of buttons that I have left plus 1, because here I have 2 buttons and I have 3 segments that I need. 3 segments of stitches, so I need to divide this number of stitches by 3. Of course, if it's not even divisible, you can adjust with 1-2 stitches up or down to just have as even as possible this button placed. And then you will use stitch markers. You can adjust and add maybe 1 more button if you think that those spaces are too big, or is up to you. And after having those number of stitches that you need in between the buttons, you will use stitch markers to mark where that buttonhole will be. Okay, now I used the stitch markers to mark those buttonholes, and now I can start working the ribbing in the same pattern as we did with the bottom hem ribbing and the cuffs ribbing. And we will go all around, and when we will get to a stitch marker to a buttonhole, I will show you how we are creating those buttonholes. So first, let's get up to there because it will be a long way to go, and then I will show you how to work the buttonholes. When starting with the ribbing, with the elastic, again, you will chain 11, or depending on how thick, how wide you want this button band to be. And then we will start working the double slip stitch pattern until we will get to a buttonhole. Okay, now I'm here close to the buttonhole, and my stitch marker is into the second stitch. This means that I will need to create a buttonhole on my turning row. So not on this one, but on my turning row. If the stitch marker is right into the next stitch, that means that you will need to create the buttonhole into that 4th row that you are working on right now. I have 10 stitches for the ribbing, and I will work 4 stitches at the beginning, 2 stitches it will be the buttonholes, and 4 stitches at the end. But first, let's just finish this this row. Then we will join with those 2 slip stitches. You can remove the stitch marker if you want. And then I will turn, and I will work the first 4. Now, depending on how big your buttons are, you can adjust the number of stitches that you're letting for one buttonhole. And I will chain 2 and skip the next 2, and I will work the rest of the 4 stitches. Now you can use the stitch marker to still mark that buttonhole, because even if it is a hole over there, but it might be difficult to see. And we will continue in the same way until we finish all the buttonholes. And on the next row, you will simply work single crochet stitches on top of those chain stitches, or simply go with a slip stitch, double slip stitch into those chain stitches. Now I'm testing to see if my buttonholes will fit through that hole to make sure that is enough. And then after finishing with all the buttonholes and to continue finishing with the ribbing, all we need to do is to weave in those ends and attach the buttons, and we are so close to the end. It happened that on my next buttonhole I have the stitch marker right into the next stitch, so this means that I need to create a buttonhole on this row. So I will go and work the first 4 stitches, then I will chain 2, skip 2, and create a buttonhole on this row because my stitch marker is right into the row after. Okay, so keep going with elastic ribbing, creating the buttonholes, and then fasten off, attach the buttons, weaving all the ends, and your soft season cardigan is done. I hope you like this tutorial. I hope you will try to make this beautiful cardigan. By the way, you can use other type of yarn. You can use sport weight yarn instead of this mix of lace and mohair. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will make it, and see you next time. Bye.